Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show, From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole, all things mental health awareness and wellness, where we interview amazing people from all over the world, sharing their incredible stories of how they overcame obstacles and what they're currently doing to maintain their mental health and their physical health. If you know my story, back in 2021, I was in treatment for 2 months. I was suffering in silence, and I was suffering with PTSD due to medical trauma, depression, anxiety, and addiction. And I want you to stay tuned because I am going to have a testimony episode, and I'll share everything in detail. So stay tuned for future episodes. But during the time that I was in treatment, I always say that it was, yes, the best decision of my life for healing, but also it was the scariest decision. But I'm so glad that I made that decision to get help. And during the time, I was just writing about my journey and not knowing that it was going to be my songs and my singles. And so when I left out of treatment, I was able to share my story through song and sharing to the community that there is hope on the other side. And I want you to know that on today. And if you would like to be a guest to share your Weeping to Warrior story, hit up your girl. I would love to have you on. Contact me at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com to share your Weeping to Warrior story. All right, friends. So we have an amazing, talented guest on today. But before we read her bio and introduce her on, I always want to give a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. So anything that I talk about in this and future episodes in regards to healing is simply what I've done for myself. I'm also in a certification program to be a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. That's the journey I took myself on for healing. And then now I want to help others. I'm almost done, and I could help clients to take their healing journey to the next level. Also, I want to give a trigger warning as well. We talk about mental health, and there could be some things that could be possibly triggering on this episode and future episodes as well. If you or someone you know is in need of support, there is a 24/7 hotline. It's a national hotline that you can call or text, and that is 988. You can call or text 988 to get support. All righty, my friends. So we're going to talk today about, a Did You Know? And so Did You Know for the week is, did you know that proper nutrients can play a key role in mental health? So if you have nutrient deficiencies, it can impact your mood and cognitive function. So for example, when I was going through my healing journey, I found out that I was low in a lot of things. So I was low in B12, I was low in iron, magnesium. I mean, my electrolytes were off. And so when I got my blood work done, everything came back like low. And so when you are nutrient deficient, it can play a key role in your mental health. So a lot of times we might be thinking, oh, it's a chemical imbalance, it's this, it's that. But really, it can be a collective of things. And so one way that I helped to go through my healing journey was to get my blood work done and to see like all the things that I was low in. And then as I was taking supplementation, I noticed that I started to physically feel better, but also mentally. So that was one way of how I went through my healing journey. So your homework for this week, yep, you have homework again, is I want to encourage you to go and get your blood work done. Go to your doctor, and I want you to write this down. I want you to ask for a chemical panel. It's also known as a metabolic profile, and that's going to it's going to measure your electrolytes in your body, like your sodium and your potassium, magnesium, all those things that you need. And that really, truly does help your mental health. It also will look for organ functions and your overall health. So write down and make that appointment. It's called your chemistry panel or metabolic profile, and get your blood work done to see the things that you might need to supplement. All right. Okay. So we're going to introduce our guest on today. I'm so excited for this one. Well, I'm excited for all my guests. But we have here Lisa, and she is an amazing, talented woman, mother, and author. She's going to talk about her, I'll let her share. So let me read her bio. So Lisa Renee Hutchins is a gifted poet and children's book author whose heartfelt storytelling inspires connections and celebrates the beauty of diversity. Drawing from her journey as a single mother, wife, and divorcee, her poetry delves into themes of resilience, self-discovery, and the power of family. Her enchanting children's book stories, Baby Cakes, invites young readers to explore diverse family traditions and discovers how baking a simple, delicious cake can bring love to each other. With vibrant illustrations and engaging narratives, each story creates a warm, joyful space where love, diversity, and sweetness beautifully intertwines. Let's welcome this beautiful, talented warrior queen, Lisa Renee Hutchins, to the show.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Hi. Hello, Lisa. How are you?
Hi. I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on the show today. Thank you for your yes. I'm super excited to talk about your story, talk about your books, because I know it's truly going to help so many people that's listening or watching on today. So before we get started, just tell the audience who you are, where you reside, and just a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, my name is Lisa Renee Hutchins. I live in Washington State. I live in Puyallup. I went to UW Seattle and double majored in communications and sociology. At the time, my son, when I graduated, he was 4 months. So that was pretty challenging. And then I've continued my career in project management. And now I help families plan ahead for their final arrangements. I work at a funeral home, which I never thought I would. But it's actually been a huge benefit. I pre-plan. I've had my kids pick out their plans. I picked out mine. And so, that's kind of my journey. I've always loved writing. Poetry is the way it was my coping mechanism, actually, as I was going through a lot of hard things, and it was a way to heal. And so that's what includes my poetry. And then the children's books I've wanted to do my whole life. I just didn't have the right people connected with. And so I finally got connected with them, and there you are.
Awesome. So that's Lisa right there in a nutshell there. And Lisa, I'm so excited, as an educator, I love the children's books. So I can't wait to talk about that. But before we talk about the children's books, I want you to talk to the audience, tell them your Weeping to Warrior story, a time, in your life that you were dealing with challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So, of course, anyone that's been a single parent understands that that's a challenge in itself. Yeah. So there was one time when I left my first ex-husband. My kids were very young, and I had lost my job. I was on unemployment, and I was going to food banks to get food for my kids. And I really didn't have any support. So I was cleaning people's houses for money, like anything I could do. I was doing it for my kids. And I had friends that would donate clothes to me for my kids. So they had clothes, which I appreciated. This lady at work always had a lot of clothes. And so Summer had the best time looking through the clothes. And sometimes those are really humbling experiences, right? Especially when I was coming from a job that I was doing very well. And now I'm not, right? And so I'm going to the food bank. And at the time I had a nice car, I had a BMW, but the heater didn't work. So when I went to the food bank, people were yelling at me because I was at the food bank. But I'm like, my heater doesn't even work in my car. So you can't judge a book by its cover, because you never know what families are going through, right? And there was a time where I needed furniture for Jordan, and I didn't have any. And this lady put her furniture for her son by the garbage can. And I was really embarrassed to go out there and get it, but it was free. Wow. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go get that. And I did. And I was so embarrassed because I didn't want her to see me. And when I went out there, she's like, I have a bed and all these other things. And I actually write a poem about it in one of my books. And it's called, what is it called? I wrote it down here. It's called Helping the Silent Soldier. So basically I was, you operate in silence when, you're struggling, because that's just kind of what we were taught. But yeah, that's what that poem is about. So a lot of my poetry actually are real life stories of my own life.
Wow.
And I felt like it's funny because many of my best friends that were very close to me that have gone through all these experiences with me, reading it and listening to it, because I have some audiobooks, it was a whole different ball game. And they were just like, wow, I'm glad you said that, because many of us feel like we're alone. Right? Yeah. We're going through these struggles. We're going through anxiety, depression, whatever we're going through. We think we're the only ones, but we're not. And so that really inspired my writing, because I wanted people to know that they weren't alone.
Absolutely amazing, Lisa. Wow. So you talked about, going through, your divorce and going to the food bank and just like being at your lowest and having your children and trying to figure out how to provide for them. So tell us, like, how during that time, how was your mental health? How was your mental health? How are you getting by?
Well, the thing is like when you're a parent, you don't have a chance to be upset. You don't have that chance. And like, I write a lot about that in my single mom book and my marriage book, because your kids don't care. They're kids.
Right.
They expect you to be on point at every time. And sometimes we just can't be. And so sometimes we feel like we're masking it, right? There's this poem I write in the Married Woman book called My Reflection. And I noticed that I was trying to hide some of my, just what I was going through. And I noticed that my daughter started doing the same thing. And I was like, oh no, we got to quit that. And then you have to be accountable for, I'm not okay right now, and I need to heal. I need to figure that out. So if that means I have to leave my house, leave my husband, and take my kids and figure it out, that's what I'm going to do. So I've done that before. I've been divorced twice, and sometimes marriage isn't a good fit. And sometimes when we go into that marriage, we know that it's probably not a best fit, but we do it anyway sometimes, right? Yep. And I write a poem about that called Not Enough. So I was standing in the mirror before I got married, and I knew that it wasn't going to last forever, but I was hoping to be enough, right? But I knew at the end it wasn't, because I wasn't the void to fill in his life, right? He had his own journey. So, I just write a lot about that kind of stuff, and it's pretty raw. Like, I tell people when they read it, get tissue, because you're going to go through those sad times, and then you're going to see how, like, you build boundaries and you survive and you overcome them, and what it makes you be, right? When you have kids, they're such a reflection of you that if you don't like what you see, you got to fix that, right? Right. Because you're the one making them who they are. So, it's been a really interesting journey.
So, wow, Lisa. So I'm curious, because I want to know, when we have the Weeping to Warrior story, we're at the bottom, we're just trying to figure out life, we're trying to overcome all these things. And so, you being an author of like so many books, I want to know, how did you get there? So like you talked about your weeping, how did you get to your warrior moment? Was your writing a way of you coping? Was it a way of you sharing your own story? So tell us about that. Yeah. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So, actually, when I was going through these different things, like struggling being a single mom or having a hard marriage and stuff like that, writing was a way for me to let those feelings out, because we keep feelings inside and then it festers, and then that's how we become depressed, or we think nobody's watching, but everyone sees it. We just think that they can't, right? So I just started writing poems to kind of let those feelings out and release it, because once you say it, you have to act on it, and it's true. Right. So we keep things inside because then, it's not real. But as soon as you write it, it becomes real, and you have to deal with it. So that was my way of learning how to deal through my struggles of, hard marriages and divorce and surviving being a single parent and having no one to turn to. Right. So that writing was my go-to. If I was upset or I was mad or anything I was feeling, I just sit down and start typing. And some of the best poems that you write come to you in the middle of the night. So you'll wake up, and it's like music. If you don't write it down, as soon as you hear it, it's gone. It's never going to be the same. And it could have been like the best song in the world, or the best poem. But if you don't write it down, you lose it. So there's plenty of times I would get up in the middle of the night, and I feel like writing in the dark and candlelight was my best times, because it's quiet, there's nobody around, and you're kind of in like your quiet mode, you know?
Yes.
So,
yes. Wow.
Yeah, and the more I started writing, the more topics I started writing about. So, like me and my daughter have a book. Well, we know each other from church about 26 years ago.
Right.
Even though you don't look that old.
Don't tell her. Don't tell our age, Lisa. Nope. That's it. We keep that a secret.
Hey, if you don't look your age, it doesn't even matter. So,
right.
But from going to the church, I was like one of the only white people there in the beginning, right? So you get to experience interracial dating and what that's like. And I wasn't allowed to date outside my race, really, for some beliefs of some of my family. So, I mean, that's all in my interracial book. And Summer wrote a whole it's called The Thoughts of an Interracial Family, The Reflections of Our Realities. And me and Summer wrote it together. So me and Summer on the back.
Okay.
Yeah, and so we wrote a whole she wrote a whole chapter, and then we wrote some stuff together. And actually the audiobook for this comes out in April.
Okay.
So I recorded it in the studio. We put music to each poem, and I've been putting it on my social media until I've created some videos with the audio clips so people can hear it.
Love it. Yes. So Lisa, you are so consistent on social media with just your clips and your poems. And I'm just like, yes, I love it. And, and I've just been watching and seeing just, your success. And one of your books that I purchased, Thoughts of Healing Families, The Reflections of Their Grief, by Lisa Renee Hutchins. And I have this in my hand right now to those who are listening. But I was reading through this, Lisa, just beautiful. And I want you to talk about, this book, but can I read one that I was like, that maybe you can speak to, and then you can read any of the ones from here or wherever, whatever you think would be, inspiring to our audience. But this one, this is on page 29 of Thoughts of Healing Families, The Reflections of Their Grief. And so I was like, I want to know, what Lisa was thinking when she was, or what she was going through when she wrote this. And so it says here that the title is called How Are You? So it says, how are you? A question asked out of care in the midst of uncertainty, awaiting a response, not reflecting one's true state, just the Band-Aid needed to hold us all together, creating an environment fragile to the touch, breaking at the sound of our tears. So can you share with us about that one?
Yeah, it's so crazy when you read these things. Sometimes I get emotional because I'm in the mood, right? So sometimes when we're going through hard times, this book has to do about me working at a funeral home. And we always respond when we're going through trauma or we're going through stress. Somebody's like, how are you? We always say, okay. And that word okay is the closest word to I'm not okay, right? So it's easy to say I'm okay. But if you hit me on some other level, all of a sudden I'm going to break, right? So I feel like okay is just where we're holding on to sanity, right? And working with people that experience grief and loss. It doesn't have to be a loved one. It could be a marriage. It could be a child going through a mental health disability, and they're not the same person. I've had that hit my family pretty hard. And I have written some poems in this book about it, about how hard to talk about. Sorry, it makes me kind of emotional. But this book is really good because it talks about a lot of different things. Like there's 5 stages of grief, but really we don't go through stages. It's more like cycles, right? Because there's things that trigger us, like me. I just got triggered. Because it's emotional. You feel it. It's like raw. You know what I mean? And it's something that affects us. And so this book has things to do about like family members I've lost, a couple gravesides that I've been at that were just amazing. I got approval from the family to put it in the book. And just about our own personal loss. Like the first time you have to walk up to that door at the funeral home and you have to open that door and accept the next step, right? So I write about all those things because they're so real.
Wow. Yes. And that poem resonated with me because, someone who did struggle with depression and anxiety and PTSD and addiction, and hearing people, how are you? And, oh, I'm okay. I'm fine. Just putting on that mask and that face. And so when I read that, I was like, yep, I want us to talk about that because I know so many people are suffering in silence, and we're programmed. We're programmed to say, I'm good, I'm okay, knowing deep down inside we are hurting, we are struggling, we're in pain. And so I really wanted to speak to that, because there's so many people. And so, just saying I'm okay, but Lisa is saying the same thing that I'm saying, if you're not okay, to go and tell someone who you trust and who you love and let them know you are not okay. So yes, Lisa, this is very, very beautiful. And girl, I'm just like, I commend you for working at a funeral home. Like, you're seeing, grief and death around you. And so, like, I could not do that every day. So, like, how do you? Yes, tell us, how do you do that?
You know what? That was never my plan ever in life. But I pre-planned with my grandma about 15 years ago, and I had lost my job 2 years. The government absorbed our contract, so I worked there 9 years, and all of a sudden I lost my job. And then my grandma died at the same time. And I went to the funeral home because we own property, so I had a sign. And they were like, you should work here. And I was like, yeah, right. I would be crying every day. Like, But I am a huge advocate for planning ahead. I plan everything. And so I thought, let me just try it. And let me help these families because I know I can help them on many levels. Not just helping them plan, but I've done a trust, I've done a will, there's papers they can put in place to make it easy for their family. So I do more education than just that. I've actually talked at the church and done seminars. So I do a lot of seminars, I do a lot of education, and I also help families that are grieving. And I think because I've been through so much trauma in my own life, that it's easy for me to relate to people. And I can relate to a lot of different people because I have a lot of different family, a lot of different experiences in college and church, and like being the only person at church, right? So I can relate easily to many different people. So I think that's one thing I love about it. And I never wear black to work. I always, I wore this suit to work today.
I love that.
So I always wear bright colors and different things because I don't want it to be a sad thing. Sometimes it is sad, of course, but like I always tell people at work, guess what? Hugs are free. And I give hugs to people all the time, especially when they're crying. Like, hey, do you want to just hug it out? And they'll be like, yeah. And so many people appreciate that I cared enough to hug them, right? Because it's important.
Absolutely. So letting them know that you're there. That's beautiful. Yes. Wow.
Sometimes it gets to you, sometimes it does. I don't do the services. I'm not a funeral director, so I don't do that side. But I do attend gravesides. And I've learned a lot about different cultures, different families. It's honestly has been a blessing to have that job because I think it's a good fit for me in terms of like personality experience, right?
Yes. So how do you stay though? How do you stay mentally healthy? Being an author, a mom, working at a funeral home. Like, how do you? What do you do to stay healthy?
Well, it's like I go from one job to the next, right? I go to work. I work a lot of hours, and then I come home and I'm just on the computer trying to make videos, do the audiobooks. Like tomorrow I have an audiobook session recording some stuff for my next audiobook. So it's like I'm always doing projects. I am part of this group called Authors in Grocery Stores. So I'm going to start being in Fred Meyer's and doing book signings and stuff. And just finding other avenues to get out there with the children's books, reaching out to schools. I don't know. I don't think I sleep very much, but I feel like when I relax, I'm missing something, right? I know I could do more. So it just keeps me motivated. People always ask me, like, how the heck do you do all that stuff? And I'm like, I don't really know.
Join us for From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole, a podcast where we're discussing all things mental health and wellness. Airing Fridays, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Oklahoma Victorious Worship Radio, and on Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on PGN TV. For full details on air dates, networks, and how to be a guest on the show, email us at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com or visit RoshawnNicole.com.
Yeah, so like all my poetry, I'm done with all of that. I did all the 5 topics that I wanted to talk about, but the children's books, there's 12 books in the series. And this is the first one. It looks like me and my kids. I'm not sure if you can see it.
So she's holding up. So those who are listening, she's holding up her book, Baby Cakes, right? Is that what it says?
Yeah, it could be found on like Amazon, Walmart, different places like that. And you would just search Lisa Renee Hutchins. And so there's a book for each month of the year. And it celebrates a family's tradition, whatever their tradition is for that month. And then they bake a cake. And so it teaches kids about different types of cakes, no-bake cakes, cupcakes, cakes that are made in shapes, cakes that have fondant. So they get to learn about different kitchen utensils, different cakes. And then at the end, there's a recipe so they can make it with their family. So it's pretty fun.
I love.
Sorry.
No, I was saying what a cool idea, Lisa. That's neat. So each of your books have a different like recipe of, like you said, of cakes or cupcakes at the end of the book.
Yeah. So the first book is about January. It's the month of January. And also when my kids are mixed and I'm white and my kids are black and white. And so when they were young, of course, there was no books that looked like our family. Right. There were no single mom books or even interracial, or mainly there wasn't a lot of black focus books at all, really, when the kids were little. Not even Barbie dolls or nothing. So I really believed in supporting my kids and wanting things that look like us. And so that's what motivated me. There's different race families in every single book. And there's interracial families, solid race families, families where kids are raised by their grandparents. So it touches a wide variety. I also talk about families that maybe somebody has an amputee or somebody has a hearing aid, so has braces. So I try to incorporate a lot of different things in all the books. And so January has to do with New Year's. And I talk about every year, me and my kids, we used to do a resolution. And so it talks about us writing our resolution and putting it on the fridge. And then we clean up and we make a confetti cake. Me and my mom's birthday is in January. My favorite cake was a confetti cake. So we talk about that. We use different kitchen utensils. And then afterwards, we eat the cake together. And there's a recipe so kids can make it with their family. And my February book is about Jordan, because Jordan's birthday, my son, his birthday is on Valentine's Day.
Oh, a couple days ago. Okay.
yeah, he's 24. Feeling old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we just talk about how on Valentine's Day, I always left little gifts outside their door for Valentine's. And then we always baked cupcakes for Jordan's birthday. So we talk about red velvet cupcakes, and we make the cupcakes and use a cupcake dispenser, and then we have the recipe. So it's fun. Each book is a different color on the back. They all have different families. And so I'm really excited about it because I feel like diversity is important, and learning about other people's traditions is really important. And April actually is going to have Greater Christ Temple in it. I'm going to have like the church and celebrating Easter because that is a huge holiday, right? Nice. And so it's going to be focused around African-American family.
Okay.
And Greater Christ Temple is going to be kind of like in the background as the church, and talking about the commitment to Easter, because Easter was always like a huge holiday. I remember at the church. Sometimes that's the only day people go to church. Is Easter.
Right. I love. Very creative, Lisa. So, you need to partner with schools. For sure.
I'm trying to get into some schools and maybe do some children's books readings and stuff. So it's just kind of like a long-term game, right? But I just stay at it, and that's why I feel like I'm working all the time, because you just got to keep moving.
Got to keep going. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Wow. So you shared, Lisa, your weeping story of just overcoming, being a single mother, trying to provide for yourself and your family, to now this like award-winning author, award-winning author, and writing children's books, poetry, and just getting yourself out there and letting other people know, that there's hope and that there's healing, and loving people at the funeral home as well. And so this is amazing. I would love for you to share, is there a poem that you would love to share for everyone to hear that you think would resonate? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I also just wanted to tell you why I did the two things separately. Yeah. So I feel like many times moms or parents are left out, right? We're just parents, but we have no emotions, no feelings. We're just parents. And I wrote the poetry for the parents, and I wrote the children's books for the kids, so they have something to do together. And there's something for moms, sometimes we need a hug, and I feel like that's what my poetry was. So the poem I'm gonna read, it's called Scars of a Survivor, and this is actually from my single mother book. Okay. The scars are everywhere, some are visible, causing others to question, seeing our traumas, consequences every day. Others are hidden under our clothes, callous and healed on the surface, but sensitive to the world around us. Then there are the wounds within, invisible to others and sometimes ourselves, still bleeding at the slightest triggers. Despite all these scars, a survivor finds a way to heal all these wounds, not to be defined by the damage, but to be an advocate for helping others overcome.
Yes, beautiful. Absolutely. It's invisible. Sometimes you can't see your pain, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because we think nobody sees. And so we're like, I'm okay. That's a famous word. Are you okay? And we're like, I'm okay because I haven't said I'm not, and I haven't found that I need to heal. But there's always going to be something that catches us, like, okay, I need to do better. I need to heal and stop being a victim. A lot of times we feel like we're a victim when we're scarred, right? And our wounds are open. But when we start healing them, we feel like we've overcome and we're survivors now, and we can help others. And so I feel like that's just where I'm at and how I want to help people. But, there's some scars that are never fully healed. And so we do have ups and downs, and that's just life. And that's why we have each other.
I'm making that connection with my single, Wounded Scars. That was the song I wrote when I was in treatment, Wounded Scars. And I was talking about, how you can't see it, but Lord, heal my wounded scars. And so that's just what your poem. So that I was making that corration. So
amen.
Beautiful.
That's so true.
Beautiful. Well, Lisa, I have a couple more questions for you, and I just, what advice would you give to someone who might be out there who's struggling in silence? What advice would you like to give them?
Yeah, so my advice is the main thing is just to forgive others for yourself, right? Many times we hold on to things that have hurt us, and it doesn't matter. It's not affecting them. It's just affecting us. So you have to forgive others. You don't have to like it, and you don't have to accept it, but you need to forgive them so you can heal, because that's the only way you can heal, right? Another thing is just to be honest with others and yourself. Honesty doesn't always feel good, and sometimes it hurts.
Yeah.
But that's how we heal, right? Being honest with ourselves and saying, maybe I fell short here and I need to fix that. Or maybe I did a great job and I need to give myself a high five.
Yeah.
Because I made it, right? Yeah. Sometimes we don't give ourselves credit for the wins. And so even if it's little, even if it's like I got out of bed today and I got ready for work and I made it to work.
Right.
Sometimes it's like that, and that's okay. And the last thing I would say is surround yourself with knowledge and positivity. You know, watching, I know many of us are on social media. We watch stuff all the time. And when I'm down, I like to watch things that make me laugh. And I feel like laughter is my key to happiness. And so I'm kind of a nerd, so I always do silly things to make my kids laugh or myself laugh. But laughing is huge, and people don't really understand it. But if you can get to the point where you can laugh by yourself, that's a huge thing, because then you're at peace with you. You don't need other people to make you who you are. Right. You're happy in your own skin. So that's why I feel laughter is super important. And my kids laugh at me because sometimes I'll be in here laughing and they're like, Mom, you're by yourself. I'm like, I know, I'm funny.
I'm laughing at myself.
Or I'm watching a video that makes me laugh, right? So it's like, find things that make you feel good. Even if it's just like taking a walk and it feels good, you know, do something good for yourself every day, because that's the only thing that's going to keep you going, especially if you don't have support, family support, or, you know, people around you that can help you build you up. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Laughter is also good when we laugh at things that aren't funny. Right. Like if you get a child support check for $2.50, that's not even a Happy Meal, but you better laugh about it because at least you got something, right? So,
yeah.
Me and my single moms have learned how to laugh about things that aren't funny. But you know what? It builds character. Or laughing about how, you know, I got the furniture out the trash can. Like, that's horrible. But you know what? I washed it and it worked. And I was able to give it to another family. You know what I mean? And you pass on your things. I think that's the biggest thing I learned too, is you receive from others when you're struggling, give back. Give back. Don't ask for money either. Just give it to them. Like, who needs clothes? Who needs a bed? I've done that plenty. And it makes you feel good to help other people, because when you're struggling and you get something as simple as some clothes for your kids, you can cry about it because you're that grateful. Like, thank you for just caring enough. Right?
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. I think as we become successful over time, don't forget about people that were there, because they're always going to be there. Right? Don't forget about, you know, people that have been there for you.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful, beautiful words. And laughing releases those endorphins, those happy hormones. So, yes. The scientific behind it. So, yes, love it. Well, where can we find out more about you, to purchase your books, to know more about Lisa?
Okay. Well, I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I have a website. So if you go Lisa Renee Hutchins, it's LISA RENEE and then HUTCHINS.com. That's my website. And you can find all my poetry books on there, some of my videos, and my children's book series. So as I start publishing more children's books and my audio books, I'm going to add all that stuff to my website. I do have a TikTok and stuff like that. So my name's the same on every site. Lisa Renee Hutchins or author Lisa Renee. So
okay. And what's next for you? Any events coming up? What's next?
Yeah. So what's next is I'm going to be there's a program called Authors in Grocery Stores. So I'm going to be in Fred Meyer's on March 9th and the 23rd. They're both Sundays. And it's in Puyallup on, let me double check the address here. Oops, I'm sorry. I can put it in a chat or give it to you guys later. Yeah, it's going to be in Puyallup on like Meridian and 176, and I'll be probably in the produce section. Have some books out there, do some signings, adding people to my email list. So when I have new products coming out, my audio book for my interracial family book is coming out in April. And then my children's books, I'm going to have 3 books coming out next year. So we're working on March, April, and May right now.
Awesome. Yeah. Staying booked and busy. All right, Lisa. Love it.
Booked and busy.
Booked and busy. Yes. Love it. Well, Lisa, any last words that you would like to say? I'm just super excited for you and just your journey. You have definitely, you have shown, you're weeping to warrior. You are a warrior queen, girl. And so you have overcame so much, and just pouring out your heart and your soul into your writing and letting the world know that, it's okay not to be okay, but don't stay there, because there's hope. And so I'm just so grateful for your journey. And any last words you would like to say?
Well, I just wanted to say thank you for having me on the show. Thank you for letting me share my story. And if there is anyone that has any questions or want to reach out, feel free. I'm very friendly and open to helping people. I'm a huge resource for lots of different things. So just stay positive and go after your goals. You know what I mean? I never thought I'd be able to do all these things that I wanted to do, and I just did it. And it's okay to fail. That's how you learn. If you don't ever fail, you're never going to try new things. So just keep positive and, pray for yourself and pray for your family, because it's important.
Yes, absolutely. Love it. Beautiful words, Lisa. I just want to say thank you for coming on. Thank you for your yes today. Thank you for all the amazing things that you're doing in your vulnerability. And it's not easy to share your story, but I'm so happy and excited for you. Keep on writing, and I wrote down the dates, but I'll get more information from you offline and go from there. So, but thank you for coming on today. All right, friends, that was my friend, Lisa Renee Hutchins. She shared her story. She shared her beautiful writing. So go check her out. Go to her website, hit her up on social media. She's available to speak as well. And that's Lisa. So I thank you, Lisa, for coming on today. There are 3 ways you can watch the show. The first way is on Fridays at 6:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Oklahoma Victorious Worship Radio. The second way is on Mondays at 6:00 p.m. on PGN TV. And the third way, all of my videos, our episodes will live on my YouTube channel at Roshawn Nicole or Roshawn Nicole Wellness, and you can check out this episode and all future episodes. If you would like to be a guest, hit me up at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com. We would love to have you on to share your story. Thank you so much for the producer of the show, Dr. Teresa Jordan. I appreciate you. Thank you to our special guest today, Lisa Renee Hutchins. And thank you for listening or watching. I want to send you some encouragement today to stay lit, keep shining, and ignite freedom. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in to From Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole. To be a guest on the show, please contact us at info@RoshawnNicoleWellness.com. We would love to connect with you, so please take a moment to like, subscribe, and follow us on all social media platforms. We look forward to having you join us next time for Weeping to Warrior, Igniting Freedom with Roshawn Nicole.